NBA trade deadline is less than 2 days away, and that means another trade has come through the works as we see the Dallas Mavericks still being aggressive and getting a wing in Caleb Martin. We're going to be breaking down this trade between the Sixers and the Mavericks. Who won? Who got the better side of the deal? We'll be looking at all of that and more on this episode of Swish City. I'm Bruce Velez, and without further ado, let's dive in and let's get into it. So, like I said in the introduction, there was a trade today between the Sixers and the Mavericks. And the Philadelphia 76ers are trading Caleb Martin to the Dallas Mavericks. And in return, Dallas is sending Quentin Grimes, Philadelphia's 2025 second round pick, back to the Sixers for Caleb Martin. And this has been a little bit of a questionable trade for a lot of people. A lot of people are asking, why did this trade go through? They're both very similar players. Why would the Mavericks even do this trade? But we're going to explain why. First, we'll be looking at the Mavericks perspective. Obviously, the Dallas Mavericks with Nico Harrison have been making some questionable moves to say, obviously moving Luka Doncic, bringing in Anthony Davis and Max Christie, and now acquiring Caleb Martin. The Mavericks, in my opinion, feel that Martin can provide some great 3 and defense for this Mavericks team while slotting into that small forward position. They truly don't have a real small forward with Luka Doncic. They were kind of playing him, Clay, and obviously Kyrie in that 3 guard lineup. But now with no Luka Doncic and having Kyrie and Clay, they're obviously wanting to add more size and more length at the wing. So adding a guy like Caleb Martin is solid. Now Martin obviously is averaging less numbers, less shooting percentage, less 3-point percentage, all of those just by a little bit. But Martin provides 2 things. One, he's a veteran win-now player, as he showed that with the Miami Heat and with the 76ers in his little stint there. But not only just that, is he contract security, as he is locked up long-term to a deal. 3 more years remaining on his contract, which is what the Mavericks want. They want contract security, and they want players that they know will be there to help compete with this team for a long time. Nico Harrison is putting players around this roster that are going to be insured to stay on there. And we'll get into Quentin Grimes in a little bit. That was a little bit of a question mark for the Dallas Mavericks. Now, obviously, they keep a guy in Caleb Martin. He's going to go back to that 3 position for this team, and I think he's going to be fitting in like a glove. Now, obviously, there are some concerns because you got guys like Najee Marshall. You got guys like Anthony Davis, Daniel Gafford, Derek Lively, Caleb Martin, a lot of defensive-focused guys now. But I do believe that the Mavericks are, cooking something up, and ultimately, I think that this trade does help them. They get a player, like I said, that is a win-win situation that is going to just address some needs that they have without Luka Doncic and could be pretty solid for them in the playoffs, specifically if they run into the Boston Celtics, as Caleb Martin is notoriously known for shutting down the Celtics team. Now, again, talking about Quentin Grimes for the 76ers here, he basically is what Caleb Martin is, just a younger form of it. And for the 76ers, I think this is the perfect direction that they need to go into. I've realistically thought with this Sixers team and with the Miami Heat team, with their kind of injuries this season and how their roster's been shaping up, they have a lot of youth talent and young players they can really invest in. And taking a little bit of a step back while teams like Orlando, Indiana, Detroit, Cleveland kind of push up through the ranks with their young teams, maybe taking a step back this season if you're Philly and if you're Miami, but still staying relevant is the right idea. Getting younger and going towards that direction. And I think with Philadelphia, that's kind of being foreshadowed here with adding Quentin Grimes. They have Tyrese Maxey, they have Jared McCain. They're kind of investing in that youth movement, and I wouldn't be shocked if next season they possibly look to move Joel Embiid to really invest into this youth movement. But with getting Grimes, they're obviously getting a younger, better player that can kind of fit in, that can grow with this young core. Now, obviously, he is a restricted free agent, so they could lose Quentin Grimes here in the free agency if he were to get a bigger deal. But I'm sure Philadelphia made this trade knowing that they would like to add Quentin Grimes for their future and would match any contract to keep him with this team. They're basically going to replace him with Caleb Martin next season by giving him that contract extension and having him be their 3 and D player for their future. And I think that is really great for the Philadelphia 76ers and focusing in that direction. I truly believe that both teams got what they wanted. And Philly also benefited by getting their second round pick back as well. And as we all know, second round picks have held a decent amount of value over the last couple of seasons, where you can use 1 second round pick, 2, 3 second round picks to move and get more capital. Now, I do believe the 76ers traded for this pick to have it back so they could have own control of their second round pick depending on where it falls. But it could give the 76ers even more flexibility leading into this trade deadline or even into the off season. So ultimately, I think it is a win-win for both teams. I think that the 76ers win a little bit more just because they're realizing that maybe this year they're not going to be a top team in the Eastern Conference, a top contender, but still being a playoff team and a play-in team. So still investing in contending and still having some good quality pieces, but selling maybe a little bit on a guy who you thought would help you in a playoff push to push for a championship this season to a team that would need it in the Dallas Mavericks as they feel they're going to be in a championship push this season, while the Sixers still get a good quality player back, might have to pay him in the future, but still get what they want in a 3-and-D guy. Like I said, Sixers might win a little bit more because they're moving in that direction and the Mavericks are moving in a win-now direction. We'll have to wait and see with both of these players how it pans out. Caleb Martin could fit like a glove for this Mavericks team and excel for them, and ultimately Quentin Grimes could do the same for the 76ers. But I want to know your thoughts down below in the comment section, how you guys ultimately feel. Like I said, seems like Nico Harrison would rather pursue having guys locked long-term and having that stability of their contract than having to gauge if he wants to pay them or not. And that could value for how Nico Harrison really values other players on this team for this trade deadline and for future as well. But like I said, you guys have been absolutely fantastic, showing your love and support. So I really do appreciate it. But let me know what you guys think, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Have a great rest of your day, and peace out, everyone.